dangerous? And the experimenter says, no. Well, they may be a little painful, they're not dangerous. So the experiment starts. The experimental subject playing the role of teacher asks the questions. Mostly at first, the old guy strapped down, playing the role of student, is getting them right. But he starts getting them wrong. 4 volts, 10 volts, they keep getting higher and higher. At about 100 volts, he begins to complain that they're quite painful. At about 150 volts, he's starting to scream. Oh! That hurt. At about 240 volts, he begins to complain his heart is bothering him. At 350 volts, he's screaming at the top of his lungs for someone to get him out of there. Please stop the experiment. The teacher turns to the experiment and says, my God, that old guy out there needs help. What should we do? What should we do? What does the experimenter say?
Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. As you've obviously already have guessed, was the old guy strapped down really getting shocks?
No.
No. But did the people inflicting them think they were really giving shocks? Because afterwards, you know, the morality of this kind of research is that you can lie to people initially if at the end you tell them the truth. So, but at the end they tell them the truth. But did you really think you were giving shocks to the old guy? Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, what proportion of people took it to the point they think they actually killed the old guy in the next room? A sudden scream and complete silence. Anybody remember from your psych class?
75 to 80%.
A little over half. Over half the people took to the point they thought they killed him. And when they asked them during the debriefing, when they told people the truth, how come you did that? And they would get this blank look on their face. What do you mean? No, I mean, you thought this guy was really being hurt, right? Oh, yeah, I was really concerned about the poor old guy. Yeah, but how come you did that? Because you told me to. In other words,
I was only following orders.
Could a good American be a good German? Pretty much. We'll come back to this issue later on. We turn to our unit on social psychology. But for the time being, notice something about this experiment. Well, has it been replicated? No. How come? Does everyone admit it was brilliant? How do you get the Holocaust into a laboratory? Dude. But what's the problem?
Ethical.
It was immoral. Not because the old guy was getting a shock. He was an actor and there were no shocks. What was the immorality of the thing?
Basically pretending that they are hurting someone.
That's right. I'll show you later on, when we get to that unit on social psychology, film from the hidden camera that took place. And they actually filmed part of it. Most, not all, but most of the people inflicting the shocks, were they enjoying doing it? Oh no. No, they hated doing it. Some of these people were the same age with the same kind of background of the old guy getting the shocks, and they were freaked out punching the button. You'll see one guy breaking down and crying while he punches the button. Could that guy have had a heart attack in the process of doing it? Yes. But even if he didn't, is it moral to say to somebody and say, listen, why did you do that? Really? Because you took orders? Oh, have a nice day, you Nazi. To leave people in that emotional state, confronting their own inner sheep, that is, you just follow orders like a sheep, is that putting people in emotionally difficult circumstances? Morality research. Now, I started out that whole conversation about science saying, look, you cannot have morality dictate the conclusions of science. We talked about Galileo and evolution. But science, like any other discipline, has the responsibility of being moral. And today, all that science does is make those moral questions all the more difficult in science, and particularly in behavioral science. But even in the hard sciences, coming to school today, I was listening on the public radio station about the whole controversy around Planned Parenthood and those contrived dishonest, contrived films about abortion. But the underlying issue of abortion is only made more difficult these days by science. Because what we're talking about with those films, if you've heard that discussion, is the use of fetal tissue for research. Anybody see Michael J. Fox these days? That old movie Back to the Future? He's not in those kind of remakes anymore. How come?
Parkinson's.
He's got Parkinson's. Is he going to die of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it going to be a long, drawn-out process as part of his brain rots away from an autoimmune disease?
Yes.
Yeah. But might we be able to find a cure if we use stem cells or fetal tissue to do experiments on? Yeah. This is what makes moral decisions today in science so much more difficult. Look, our values, we're going to talk about this means in just a second. Our values were given to us like 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. What do you think Moses felt about recombinant engineering? Huh? Get it? Look, there's no question today that we are playing God in a laboratory. There is no question at all. The only question is, whose version of God are we playing? For example, anybody had any corn in the last couple weeks? Corn? Corn? Yeah. Well, you probably had something that God didn't place on this earth, but Monsanto did, because over half of all the corn in the U.S. food supply has been bioengineered. And we have taken the genes of weeds and planted and put them into corn so that they're better able to resist herbicides. We've taken the genes of fish and plugged them into soybeans. Oh, and the corn now swims upstream. And I'm not making this one up either. Do you know one of the most strong materials ever produced by a biological organism is spider silk? You know, the stuff that they make webs out of. Tiny little strand. Ever get a spider web on you? Tiny little strand? Now try and pull it off. You cannot even see it unless under a microscope, and you can't even pull it apart. Now, if you could concentrate that stuff, you'll have an incredibly strong amount of material. But it's hard to milk a spider. So what have we done? I'm not making this up. We've taken the genes out of the spiders and plugged them into, anybody know? Mice? No, goats. Goats. So now, not only are they producing goat's milk, but also they're producing in that goat's milk spider silk. And we've now used that stuff to make very lightweight, bulletproof armor for our soldiers in places like Afghanistan. Wow. Get it? Are we creating life? Oh yeah. Of course we are. Now we are playing God. The question is, who's God?
Couldn't for the food thing, couldn't that be also because of the issue of we're running out of food because we can't support this many people on it, and so we're trying to compensate for that by trying to make our own food and trying to sustain everybody?
Yeah, take my social problems class, or take Mike Golden's environmental biology class. There's been a debate for many years about what's called the population bomb. Paul Ehrlich up at Stanford many years ago predicted we'd reach a point at which there just wasn't enough food to go around. Now we've been able to stay ahead of that curve by using things like science to make agriculture more productive. The famous example of this was Malthus, back in the 1800s, believed that inevitably human populations expanded more quickly than we could grow stuff. And he said there was an inevitable result of that. Three things. Starvation, war, because when people are starved, they get pissed off and they want somebody else's stuff, or disease, because when you're starving, your disease resistance goes down. Yeah, someone's being plastic because of that. But we have sequenced the human gene. We've taken it apart. We don't know yet exactly what all it does, But in the next century, we will make incredible change, extending life. Probably solving the problems of people like Michael J. Fox. Liver damage, heart problems. Yeah, because we'll grow not somebody, transplants. The problem with transplants today, if you can find one, and they're very, very difficult to get. Now you get a heart, a lung, a liver transplant. Thank God. However, for the rest of your life, you're going to be on immune suppressive therapy, which means you're going to be open to any kind of infection that goes along. You're going to be alive, but you're going to have infection after infection after infection after infection. How come? Because it's not your heart, it's not your liver. And the body says, we're getting rid of it. But if we could grow your own new heart, or your own new brain cells so that Michael J. Fox, will we solve those problems? But do we know, in many cases, fetal tissue are essential in doing some of this kind of research? Yes, ask the scientist. I just listened to the conversation about a researcher over at UCSD. Over at UCSD, the most prestigious research institution in San Diego County. And he was saying, look, there's no substitute. Remember morality. Remember culture. What is culture in its most basic? A set of emotions attached to ideas. And that is why we are never going to solve debates like this. Abortion. Is there anything science can do to solve the abortion wars, the culture wars? No. No. Actually, all that science does is, as I just indicated, make things more complicated. If your moral values say at the point of conception, that little sperm goes into that ovum, you have got what? A human being. Then anything that interferes with the continued life, that little zygote, even just the implantation on the wall of the uterus, that is what? It's murder. It's murder. Yeah, I know it's not a full human being, but remember how things started with the Nazis. They did not start off killing Jews first. They started off with killing what Hitler referred to as the useless eaters.
The mentally ill.
The mentally ill. The mentally retarded. They were real people, and so you can take their lives. But on the other hand, switch the morality. Now just plug in a different set of highly emotional set of ideas. If your religious values say that is not a human being, it is a collection of friggin' cells. Nobody has the right to tell somebody else what to do with their body. You know, Mr. Lincoln freed the slaves. And if you don't believe in abortion, fine, don't have one. But don't tell a woman what she can do with her body. Women are no longer objects of ownership of men or anybody else. They are no longer slaves. And she has the right. You want to save the life of that little zygote, that 4-cell creature? Fine. You're going to take care of it the rest of its life? You're going to send it to college? You're going to pay for it? You're going to deal with the difficulties, as we've already talked about, of a child that wasn't wanted and the potentials of abuse?